On the first full day of a Regent Seven Seas cruise from Venice to Athens, I woke to some beautiful views as we were pulling into the Ancona port. I had signed up for a morning excursion and after breakfast boarded a motor coach. For some reason, the excursion veered from what was listed in the description and we followed a different plan. We took off and drove through Ancona without stopping, but getting some information from the guide about various buildings, including the Lazaretto of Ancona, which is a building built on an artificial island as a quarantine station in the 18th century. Eventually, we stopped at the Cathedral of St Ciraico, which was on top of a mountain and could be seen as we pulled into port. And the views from the church of the town were quite beautiful. We were given information on the history of the building and its content. However, a mass was in service, so we weren't really allowed inside. This was the only video I managed to take. I do love this lion out front. We then drove back through the city, again not stopping, but having landmarks pointed out to us. Finally, we stopped at the Kudi Monument, which was right along the coast. I both climbed up into the monument and took some stairs down toward the beach, and the views were very sweet. There was a small little park adjacent to the monument that was quite pretty too. We then drove out of town to our higher vantage point and were given a few minutes to get off the bus and snap some pictures of the beautiful landscape. Love those grasses blowing in the wind. We didn't have time, but this would have been a nice place to take a coastal walk. Our last stop was the Town of Sirolo, which sits high up on the cliffs and has a panoramic view of the ocean. We were given about 45 minutes to wander the town, shop, or grab something to eat. Sirolo has a pretty tree-lined pathway along the cliff, some charming cobblestone streets, and historic architecture, including a centrally located church. The shops were fairly typical tourist shops. I eventually settled down to grab a quick bite and enjoy the views before heading back to the bus. We were driven directly back to the ship. I felt like I hadn't really seen Ancona, so I set up on my own on foot and took in some of the shopping district, which you could easily walk to from the ship. There are some newer buildings mixed in with older ones, but all sharing walls. When I got to the center of town, I discovered a flea market, which was kind of fun. Ancona isn't a huge town, so I felt I was able to see most of it in my short amount of time. Although I enjoyed walking the streets of the town, I preferred my time in Sirolo, which was a delightful and quaint town with such a pretty seascape. Please look for more of my videos from the Regent Seven Seas cruise, and if you'd like to follow more of my senior and solo travels, please click subscribe below. Cheers!